Welcome back to another Top 10 Tuesday. In today's video we are looking at the shonen genre, specifically the top 10 powers of the vast world of shonen. This one's going to be kind of different as the list is in no particular order as to not start a war within the comment section. And today is 414 history, as I am excited to announce that the one and only Oceaniz has collabed with me on this one. I know, right? What a legend. So let's roll the intro and let our guy kick off our top 10 shonen powers.
Hunter x Hunter is by no means a stranger to imaginative and cool powers, as Yoshihiro Togashi's shonen milestone consistently endeavors to push the boundaries of its power system, Nen. Or at least it does so when it isn't on hiatus. For a list like this, any of the series' many and varied Nen abilities could have been chosen, but a personal favorite of mine is Killua's GODSPEED. As someone obsessed with lightning abilities, seeing Killua manifest his transmutation type Nen ability as a series of electricity-based techniques was basically Christmas for me. Among his arsenal of blitzy battle brigades, GODSPEED represents the peak of Killua's ability. Cloaking himself in electricity, this ability heightens Killua's speed and reaction potential many times. This by itself isn't all that crazy, but the way it works is what sells it for me. Since Killua is covered in electricity, the neural signals in his body, which are electromagnetic pulses that would usually have to travel through his nerves, can now jump freely within that aura outside of Killua's body, bypassing the inherent limitation of the speed of nerves. What this means is that Killua's neural system can operate at hyper speeds, allowing him to act and react at crazy velocities. I am not just obsessed with lightning abilities, but I am also a big biology nerd. So this power, incorporating both of these things in such a clever and elegant way, easily cements Killua's GODSPEED as an absolute highlight of Hunter x Hunter for me and a worthy pick for this list.
Fullmetal Alchemist's alchemy is one of the greatest powers in shonen, but also one that had great philosophy surrounding it in the action that also comes with its consequence. Its strict rule of equivalent exchange meant that something must be sacrificed or bargained with in order for its user to transmute the elements. A lesson in which both the Elric brothers most definitely found out the hard way. Alchemy is a scientific technique in which one must understand the structure of matter known as transmuting. The user must, like mentioned, understand the structure and properties of the atomic or molecular makeup of a particular material. Use energy to deconstruct and break down that physical structure into some form of energy that can be remolded easily into its new form, and then reconstruct this energy and reform the material into its new shape. This can only be done by alchemists who understand ancient alchemy theory and chemistry, as well as having some sort of natural talent for it. They tend to transmute using one of the four classic elements that are fire, water, earth, and air, whereas other users will use essential principles of sulfur, salt, and mercury. However they do it, they all strictly follow the foundation of alchemy, that is equivalent exchange.
Remember how I said I am obsessed with lightning powers? Well, anyway, totally unrelated, Eneru from One Piece. Or is it Enel? I don't know, doesn't matter. He is the false god of Skypiea who ate a devil fruit, magical fruits in the world of One Piece which bestow the consumer of it with supernatural abilities at the expense of their ability to swim in a world that is mostly ocean. While those abilities range from iconic to great to pathetic, few are quite as fearsome as Eneru's Goro Goro no Mi. This fruit is of the Logia class, which means that upon eating it, the consumer receives an ability related to turning your body into and controlling a certain element. The Goro Goro fruit gave Eneru the ability to turn into, you guessed it, lightning. This proves to be an insanely powerful ability, as not only can he avoid any damage to his body by turning into what is essentially an abstract electromagnetic property as opposed to matter, but he can also use this to attack and electrocute his enemies. Moreover, combined with his perception haki, which allows him to be aware of any and all shit talk happening on his island, he can command down thunderbolts to evaporate those that oppose him. Truly the power of a god. Also, Goro Goro is the Japanese onomatopoeia, or sound word, for the rumble of a thunderclap, which I think is a super neat detail.
The world of Black Clover is one that is heavily governed by magic, so Asta's anti-magic isn't just powerful, it's pretty much OP. Anti-magic pretty much does what it says, in which it can cancel out any other forms of magic. Anti-magic is the magic of the devil that resides or, is possessing Asta's 5-leaf grimoire. Combined with this is the sword magic that Asta possesses, in which he can both neglect or reflect any form of magic thrown at him. Black Clover and its world have, many amazing magical abilities such as time magic, dark magic, blood magic, sealing magic, you name it, it has it. And you may actually list some of these higher than the anti-magic ability. But if you think about it, if the user of this ability is skilled enough, they can actually overpower any of these other magic types. It's awesome.
We couldn't talk about shonen without mentioning Naruto. 1/3 of the big three, this series is for many a staple of superpower shonen, with its iconic power system, chakra, having enthused literal hundreds of thousands of kids into throwing hand signs at playgrounds. Choosing one ability to highlight from such a strong pool of powers is no easy task, but luckily, the series makes that choice for us. No ability in Naruto is given the depth, expanse, and focus that the Sharingan receives. This ocular ability, unique to the Uchiha clan, is special because it isn't just one ability, but rather a group of abilities that continuously gain relevance and spotlight as the story of Naruto continues and grows. Since there is a lot going on with this one, I can physically not go through all the processes and twists of the Sharingan storyline. So instead, here are some cool things it can do. Copy other people's abilities, predict the enemy's moves, project a mental torture chamber in which the victim is tormented for what feels like an eternity, summon a skeletal suit of spectral armor that grows and evolves to have its own abilities, literally rewrite reality at the cost of the eye using the ability, and my personal favorite, Amaterasu, which spawns black, all-consuming flames wherever the user looks. As you can tell, the Sharingan is incredibly versatile and very, very expansive, easily cementing itself as one of the most iconic powers in modern shonen, and definitely worth a mention in this video.
Can't talk shonen powers and leave Bleach out of the conversation. Powers come in many shapes and sizes in this series, but the most impressive one is obviously the Bankai. You know when it's hitting the fan, or if a certain character turns up and says the word Bankai, it is going down. You hold on to that seat of yours. In Bleach, there are characters known as Shinigami that would each wield their own Zanpakuto, which is their own respective main weapon. These weapons all have its first evolution known as its Shikai power. Bankai is the Zanpakuto's evolution from this, its second and final upgrade. These are very rare indeed, and usually only seen in characters with the rank of lieutenant or captain. To achieve Bankai, the user must materialize their Zanpakuto's spirit in the physical world rather than that of the Zanpakuto's inner world. These Bankai can actually take up to 10 years to fully unlock, however once mastered, they can gift the result of a devastating attack, some beast-like abilities, or even transform their users. Now, some of my favorites are Byakuya Kuchi's Zenbon Zakura Kageyoshi, Yamamoto's Zanka no Taichi, obviously Ichigo Kurosaki's Tenza Zengetsu, and Kenpachi Zaraki's Kenpachi's Bankai.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase, people fear what they don't understand, before. If we apply this to shonen powers, because of course we would, then that would mean that a power that operates outside of our understanding would be a tool of terror, perhaps fit for a villain. JOJO'S Bizarre Adventure is no stranger to weird abilities, which much of the cast wielding ghostly specters called stands, that each come with a unique and usually not straightforward power. One character, however, that takes this to the next level is Golden Wind's main antagonist, Diavolo, and his stand ability, King Crimson. King Crimson's ability has been the topic of debate for literal decades, partially due to bad translations of an already complicated explanation, but also because the power is, well, bizarre. King Crimson has the ability to erase time. What this means is that for 10 seconds after the ability activates, everyone is locked into the actions and events fate has chosen for them, meaning there is no way to alter one's movements. Everyone is just locked into doing what they were supposed to be doing in those 10 seconds. The only person able to act of their own free will during these 10 seconds is Diavolo, who can use that time to flee or reposition himself for another attack. Once those 10 seconds pass, they are erased, meaning that no one besides Diavolo perceives or remembers them in the slightest. What this means is that Diavolo can essentially pop in and out of time, with his victim having no way of even understanding what's happening. This gets infinitely worse once you realize that Diavolo's stand itself, King Crimson, is a 2.5 meter tall behemoth capable of tearing a human body apart with just a single hand. Fighting King Crimson is basically like fighting an omniscient, teleporting, bloodlusted gorilla, and I for one can imagine about 100 things that I'd rather be doing.
Going back to those 414 YGO roots for a sec as we talk about the Egyptian god cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! These three divine beasts, also known as the three legendary gods, are one-of-a-kind, all-powerful cards, molded and created by none other than Maximilian Pegasus. Don't worry, I won't do the impression this time. However, only chosen duelists who have a link to the ancient past can control and wield their might. These three all-powerful gods have very similar abilities, but each have their own unique powers. Of course, to have all three in your deck is a power reserved for the almighty Pharaoh himself, though others have tried to claim this power for themselves. The three Egyptian god cards include Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and Ultra Mega Chicken. If you know, you know. Of course, actually named the Winged Dragon of Ra. Slifer the Sky Dragon, also known as Sky Dragon of Osiris, is named after the god of life, death, and fertility. The god it's named after is obviously Osiris, but where did Slifer come from? Well, that was 4Kids having an inside joke, as Roger Slifer was the producer of the English language adaptation of the anime. Obelisk the Tormentor, also known as Giant God Soldier of Obelisk's name was based on the obelisk, which is a type of monument in ancient Egypt. Then finally, the Winged Dragon of Ra, also known as Winged God Dragon of Ra, is of course based on the Egyptian god of sun.
My Hero Academia is a proverbial treasure trove of cool and imaginative abilities. Not only are there some really cool and interesting powers on display here, but the biological nature of quirks, this world's superpowers, means that any power is also a part of that character's personality and personal history, which makes following these goobers that much more interesting. One ability that however stands out as particularly interesting is that which is bestowed upon our main character, Deku, who is granted the quirk known as One for All. One for All is a combination of two abilities: the power to pass on abilities through DNA, and the power to stockpile physical strength and abilities and enhance it over time. What this means is that One for All is a torch to be passed down, as every user adds their own physical strength to the pool of the ability, uses the whirlwind of super strength generated by it, and then passes it on so that it can keep the world safe for generations. It is symbolic of the never-ending journey to peace and prosperity, and a really cool way of integrating that sort of theme into a superpowered society. There is one more thing, but that is a fat spoiler for anyone who hasn't read the manga, so if you are an anime only, I will have to ask you to skip ahead. As it was recently revealed, One for All's transmission ability doesn't just affect the stockpile quirk, but every quirk the user has, meaning that the previous users of One for All, who were all born with other quirks, also pass down their individual born quirks into the power, which means that Deku has the potential to awaken 6 additional powers aside from just One for All's super strength. We haven't seen most of these yet, and the history of One for All, which was desperately passed down to anyone who could escape the series' main villain, implies that most of these powers might actually be very weak or even useless. But nonetheless, it is a fascinating aspect that further cements One for All as one of the most interesting quirks to follow in My Hero Academia.
You can't talk shonen and not mention the powerhouse that is Dragon Ball. Now, everyone lately will, latch onto Ultra Instinct, but I'm old school, and we're talking Super Saiyan. Good old Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan is an advanced transformation of the Saiyan race. This ability was once considered to be nothing more than legend, as it hadn't been achieved in over 1,000 years. The transformation is achieved when one has a power level that is above the average, and with a sufficient amount of S cells. The transformation comes in response to a need and not a desire. This is usually triggered by a great anger or sadness. Now, once achieved, the Saiyan can activate and deactivate this power anytime they need. The physical change comes with a slight bulk in their muscles, as well as the classic golden blonde hair that stands tall, defying gravity, and of course, the golden aura that engulfs their body. As for the power change, it is said that the increase is 50 times that of what they had already achieved, though Toriyama, who is the series creator, has said that that was a bit of an exaggeration. And in the manga, it was written that the power increase was 10% their normal power. Either way, it is one hell of an increase, and for me, one of the most iconic powers, not just in shonen, but in anime as a whole. And let's face it, for most of us, Dragon Ball was what we grew up on, and didn't we all wish that we ourselves underwent that Super Saiyan transformation? But thanks for watching. That was our top 10 shonen powers. I hope you enjoyed the video. I just want to give a massive shout out to Oceaniz, who has collabed with me on this one. The guy is fast when he works. I'll leave the links to his channel and socials in the description below. I highly recommend you check out his videos. He's got some absolute classics. 100% check out his video on Sato Kazuma, The Art of the Asshole. Go check it out. Go check it out. Yeah, once again, hope you enjoyed the list. Let us know in the comments below if we missed anything out, or just let us know what your favorite shonen power is. Don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to join us on Discord or hang out with me on Twitch during the weekdays, and of course, subscribe for more anime content. Till next time, my fellow weebs.